Hello, and the warmest of welcomes to this iOB business webinar. It's a pleasure to have you on here once again. And if this is your first time joining us, I'm going to give you a brief overview of how these webinars usually run. And if you've joined us before, you'll be more than familiar with the format. All right, so let's get us kicked off. My name is Ben, and I'm the resident business coach here at iOB Business. Okay, now what we're going to be talking about today are resource formats that you should lean on as a digital agency owner. Okay, now whether that's your prospective digital agency owner, whether it's something that you're looking at getting into, whether it's something that you've already had for a long time. Okay, we always get a vast variety of wonderful individuals on these webinars who are at all different stages of their digital marketing careers. Okay, so how these webinars work. Okay, we do a brief introduction with myself before we kick off. Once again, my name is Ben. And then we're going to dive into a presentation, and throughout that presentation, we're going to run for around about 15 to 20 minutes today. Okay, now at the end of the presentation, we're going to dive into a Q&A session, and in that Q&A session, you're more than welcome to ask me any questions that you have on business, on marketing, on how to grow a digital agency, anything that you like. Okay, so we always get a couple of questions in. It's always a pleasure to answer them. Now, one final note as we go throughout today's session. Okay, now we always do 3 topics. So in between each topic, you're going to get a brief moment to indeed ask any questions that you might have for me, and indeed jot down any notes you might have on today's session. So don't worry, you'll have plenty of time to jot these down and take your time to do so. Okay, so if you will bear with me for one moment, please, I'm going to go ahead and get us set up for today's session. Okay, now once again, what we're going to be talking about today are the formats that you should lean on, okay? Resource formats that you should lean on as a digital agency owner, okay? So where we are up on screen just now, you should be able to see the screen, and you should still be able to see my face, all right? So just before we kick off, if you could do me a favor, please, I'm gonna go ahead and switch off my video now, okay? So you shouldn't be able to see my face anymore, but you should still be able to see the screen up there in front of you, and you should still be able to hear my voice. Okay, so if you could do me a big favor before we get kicked off today, and just let me know if you can hear my voice okay, and if you can indeed see the presentation on screen. All right, fantastic. So it looks like we are all set and good to go. Okay, so we're going to get kicked off with today's session. Once again, if you do have any questions, you do have any notes to take, please take your time. You're more than welcome to take these down. Ask any questions that you have for me. There should be a gray button at the bottom of your screen there that will say Q&A. Just pop that over to me and I will get that answered for you at the end of today's session during our Q&A segment. Okay, so without further ado, allow us to get kicked off with resource formats that you should lean on as a digital agency owner. Okay, and your presenter today is myself. My name is Ben Porter Smith, and I'm a business coach. Okay. I specialize in working with small businesses and helping them to achieve stability and growth. This is what I get to do every single day. This is what I completely love to do. And it's always a pleasure to be on here presenting these webinars with you. Okay, so the 3 topics that we're going to talk about today. Number 1, digital updates. Okay, we're talking about specific educational resources and formats that you can lean on as a digital agency owner. Okay, direct educational resources, number 2, and number 3, tailored tutelage. Okay, now tailored tutelage is something that we've all had in many different formats, whether it be your parents, whether it be a valued educator, a teacher, a guardian, a lecturer, a mentor, a coach. Okay, all of these wonderful people that have helped shape who you are today. Okay, so beginning with topic number 1, digital updates. Okay, so the first item to share with you today, keeping your ear to the ground is a large part of running a digital agency. Okay, so if you've ever heard the expression before, ear to the ground, it essentially means that you're always in the know with what's going on. If you've ever heard somebody say to somebody else, keep your ear to the ground, let me know what's happening, let me know what's going on. We're looking at this really in an educational format, but also understanding that we need to be kept up to date. We need to know what's going on. Okay, so keeping your ear to the ground is really a sort of metaphor for make sure that you're in the know, that you're kept up to date, that you know what's going on in your industry. Okay, now if you are a digital marketer or a budding digital marketer, you will know that this is such a ever-changing, diverse, dynamic industry. Okay, you always need to know, you always need to be informed with what's coming out next. Okay, whether that be on one of the big social media platforms, whether it be with a new piece of software, a new way to advertise. All of these things are rolling out all of the time. Okay, and the ones who win are the ones who always keep themselves up to date. all right? Now, the digital landscape is ever evolving and you must be up to date with new softwares and technologies, okay? As soon as something rolls out, you need to be the first one to know about it, okay? So when we're talking about resources, formats that you should lean on as a digital agency owner or as a budding digital agency owner, okay, it's something that you have to be aware of. If something new comes to the surface, you need to be the first person on it, okay? Now, let's say that you are already a digital agency owner, okay? Now we have a diverse audience here today, okay? So I'm gonna try and make sure that we get this message across to everyone, okay? Now, if you are already running digital agency, which many of you are, okay, what you need to understand is that when new technologies come to the forefront, we can't turn a blind eye, we can't look the other way, okay? If it fits in any way to what we do, it could be a value to our clients, it could be a value to prospective clients. If not even being able to use it directly, we could have a look and see if there's any way that we could use it indirectly, such as partnering with somebody else, offering somebody services who could potentially bolster part of our services, okay? Partnerships, connections, collaborations. Perhaps it's a new kind of reporting software that's come out that you won't use specifically. Maybe you don't have a license for it, but maybe you could collaborate with somebody who could help give your clients even more enhanced report statistics, helping them to improve their campaigns as a whole. Now, if you can do this, it's a win-win scenario. You're going to help your client, you're going to help yourself, and you're going to help your collaboration partner, okay? It's a win-win-win scenario. Now, for those of you that are looking at building digital agency, something that you're going to come into potentially in the near future, what you need to know is that these technologies and softwares can be learned, okay? They can be established, and these can help you choose your path of how you want to get into the industry, okay? Maybe there's something that you immediately become very comfortable with. Maybe it's a talent that you have naturally. Maybe your ability to understand new technology and new software is second to none, and you feel like this in itself is an advantage, okay? But always be aware of what's coming out next. Always be aware of what softwares are coming out next, what technologies are coming out, okay? So great ways that you can achieve these two things, okay? Staying up to date with the digital landscape, looking at new softwares, new technologies, and keeping your ears to the ground, okay? Digital marketing newsletters, okay? This is the first way that you can do this. Something will just simply drop into your inbox and say, hey, look what's new. Look at all this stuff, okay? Now, there's a very common expression I love in business, and it's that you don't have to reinvent the wheel, okay? Many entrepreneurs, many business owners, even independently of digital marketing, I'm talking about the whole board here, a lot of people sort of have this misconception that we have to do something new, we have to do something ingenuitive, okay? Now, whilst to an extent that is true, what holds many people back is believing that they have to reinvent the wheel, that they have to write a new blueprint, okay? Now, that's not true, okay? And even at this stage, you can allow somebody else to do the work for you, okay? Look at these digital marketing newsletters. Somebody else is doing the research. Somebody else is providing the updates because you're their audience. You as a digital agency owner or prospective digital agency owner, you are their audience. You are the person that they want to please, and you're the person that they want to give content to. So they do this very, very hard work. They bring all this content to you. They pop it into your inbox with the hope that you might start doing business with them. Okay, but you don't have to. Most of these are free. All right. So digital marketing newsletters will keep you very much in the loop and very much up to date with what's going on. You can then choose what you do with that information. You can utilize it. You can ignore it. You can delete it. You can save it for later. You can do whatever you want. Okay. Second way that you're going to achieve this. Webinars. You're sitting on here with me today, listening to the content that I have to bring you. This is one of the best ways to stay up to date. Why? Because live webinars are always talking about something new, something relevant, something up to date. Okay. So by joining these webinars, giving away 30 minutes of your time every now and again gives you the opportunity to learn something that you potentially didn't know before. And it has the added benefit of being spoken to by a live person. Okay. There are certain je ne sais quoi, shall we say, okay, that can be added by somebody who's speaking live, okay? Now, what this helps you do is absorb information in a slightly different way because there might be touches, there might be additions, there might be a little bit more of a tailored speech to help you understand something better. And it also allows you the chance to ask questions sometimes and interact like you're having the opportunity to do in this session today, okay? And finally, social media, okay? So social media, I'm sure you're familiar with it on one of the various platforms that exist out there today. If you simply look at following digital marketing pages, updates, various different places that you can pick up on this kind of information. Okay, there are groups, there are forums, there are columns, there are news articles, all posted on social media. Okay, things that you can follow, things that you can interact with. Now, once again, you can interact in the comments, you can share with others, you can ask questions, you can click on these articles, you can read them, you can see what's happening. Okay, there's a reason that many of us are keen on social media. There's a reason that many of us spend good amounts of time on social media. Okay, it's something that a lot of us want to learn about, want to do on a regular basis. Okay, so moving on now to direct educational resources. Now, just before we do that, I'm going to give you a chance to go ahead and write down any questions that you might have for me, and indeed jot down any notes, and I'll be right back with you. Okay. All right, perfect. So hopefully you've had a chance to jot down any notes and indeed ask any questions. I've just seen one come in there, which I will get to at the end. Thank you kindly. Okay, so moving now on to topic number 2, direct educational resources. Okay, so direct educational resources is a slightly different way of learning. Okay, so direct education is applicable when it comes to your own niche. Now, your niche could be paid advertising, it could be social media, it could be copywriting, such as, writing blogs, emails, articles, things like that. Okay, if this is your niche, your area of expertise, it's something that you should look at focusing in directly. Okay, so when we're looking at direct educational resources, really what we need to be aware of is the fact that not everybody will be interested in this. Not everybody will want to know directly what they need for this, okay, or what they don't need for this. What you need to make sure is that you're pursuing your own niche, okay, your independent niche, and that you're looking at materials, content, articles that's relevant to you. Okay, so direct education is applicable when it comes to your own niche. Okay, now there are many areas in which you can gain direct education relevant to your niche as a digital marketer. Okay, so once again, if we're looking at the multiple variations of niches, what they might include, what they might involve, all right? So we've got paid advertising, we've got social media, we've got website development, we've got search engine optimization, we've got copywriting, we've got email marketing, we've got organic marketing. Okay, now this doesn't always necessarily apply in digital marketing, but it can form part of the overall stronger structure of digital marketing. Okay, some people choose to bolster their campaigns by doing a bit of both. Okay, now you've got various forms of organic marketing, organic advertising, paid advertising. Okay, now marketing and advertising aren't strictly the same thing. Okay, advertising is, technically speaking, when something is being advertised and promoted, whereas marketing can form really more of a brand awareness image. It can form many of a, kind of public relations image, all these kinds of wonderful things. Okay, so marketing is generally a little bit bigger than simply advertising, where there is once again a misconception that actually marketing and advertising mean the same thing. Technically speaking, specifically, they don't. Okay, now we've covered a variation of niches. That's not even scratched the surface. Okay, there is software development, people who use software, people who white label software. There's so many different things that you can do, okay, when it comes to digital marketing and learning about your own niche. Okay, now what might seem daunting when it comes to education and picking up these resources is, oh my gosh, I have to learn everything. I have to do all of these different things. I have to look at all these different textbooks and articles and essays and formats and videos and educational content and webinars and this and that. Okay, you don't. If that is too much, if that is overwhelming, if that is just daunting as a whole, simplify the process. Okay, make sure that you're focusing specifically on your niche, that you're understanding what it is that you would like to learn about. Okay, so there are many areas in which you can gain direct education relevant to your niche as a digital marketer. Okay, the first one is learn centers. Okay, now they are wonderful online centers filled with valuable content. Okay, now these can be filled with content such as sales, marketing, operations, finance, how to run a business, how to build rapport with your customers, how to sell better, how to market better, how to advertise better, how to run your business more smoothly, okay, how to grow businesses and specifically develop on your niches as well. Okay, so these learn centers can contain a wealth and a variety of information that can allow you the opportunity to essentially figure out what you want to focus on, but at the same time, you can learn many other things as well. So if you decide that, okay, I'm going to spend a certain amount of time improving and focusing on my niche and learning about that, but then you choose to go and do something additionally, the Learn Center will allow you the opportunity to do this. They are wonderful, wonderful places and wonderful, wonderful resources to have. You can spend almost infinite amounts of time learning the different caveats and all the different things that they have to teach. Okay. Online courses, you'll be familiar with these. Again, another wonderful online resource format. Okay, now when you get these from trusted sources, they can be very, very, very valuable indeed. Now, what online courses tend to focus on is teaching you something specific. Okay, how to improve this area of your marketing, how to become a better Facebook advertiser, how to become a better Google advertiser. Okay, how to make sure that you know what it is you want to do and how you can improve on that thing. Online courses are very much designed and built this way to teach you something specifically for an end purpose or goal. Okay, so how can you become better at this? How can you do this in a better way? All right, or how can you learn to do this as a whole? Books, of course. Okay, now books are some of the, well, they probably are one of the oldest formats of education, okay, or educational resources, but that is for a reason. Okay, many countless numbers of people over centuries and you know, just countless amounts of time have learned so much from books, and there's so many different books, so many different things that you can learn, that you can pick up in so many different niches. Okay, now what you should be careful of when it comes to books specifically, okay, and when it comes to digital marketing, is that digital marketing is this very evolving, dynamic industry. Okay, you want to make sure that whatever books you do pick up, they're either filled with timeless education, such as, you know, best methods to run businesses. Okay, but if you're looking at something specific, you're looking at something up to date, like say, you know, Facebook advertising, for example. If you do purchase a book or an ebook focused on this, make sure that it does include the most up-to-date information, because these platforms are changing all the time. Okay, so just a little bonus tip for you there. And finally, online articles. Okay, blogs, columns, essays, that kind of stuff. Okay, content pieces that are written by people as talented as yourself in many different ways. Okay, now online articles are written by people who are experts in their profession most of the time. Again, as long as it's from trusted resources, it's information that you can trust, information that you can use to compound your education into something that you can build on. Okay, so online articles are an excellent way to keep yourself up to date and make sure that you're learning educationally directly what you want to pick up. Okay, now what you must do as a kind of final point here, ensure that you're learning from these resources on a recurring basis. Okay, something that you need to make sure that you're paying attention to regularly, something that you're doing all the time. Okay, one-off isn't really good enough. You might learn something at that point in time, but you'll then begin to slip. It'll become a sort of landslide, and you'll realize, oh wow, there's quite a lot I've actually missed out on. Now, let's say that you do want to directly educate yourself even on one specific niche. You're more than able to do that. Okay, but if you let that run too long, if you let too much time pass, you're not staying up to date. Okay, let's say that it's a 10-hour block of educational content. You might look at that and go, whoa, 10 hours, that's a lot to learn. Okay, when you'd be understandably daunted for, if you were feeling this way. Okay, understandably so. Now, if you were to look at it this way and say, okay, well, I'm going to look at this for 10 weeks and I'm just going to do an hour a week. All of a sudden, that's a lot less daunting. Okay, but if you just do that 1 hour, 1 week, you're forgetting about the other 9 weeks and the other 9 hours. You've just completely let that slide, and you could have done that so easily. Okay, now we can take these sort of big resources and big educational chunks, and we can break them down into smaller pieces. But the real value comes from being consistent with our education and consistent, therefore, with our habits as well. Okay, so ensure that you're learning from these resources on a recurring basis, and also because they're always updating. They're dynamic, just like everything else in digital marketing. Okay, so once again, that brings us to the end of topic number 2. I'm going to give you a brief moment to jot down any questions that you have for me, and indeed jot down any notes before we carry on there with topic number 3. Okay. All right, perfect. So hopefully you've had a chance now to jot down any questions that you might have, and indeed jot down any notes. And we're going to move on to the third and final topic today, tailored tutelage. Okay, so tailored tutelage is particularly effective when it comes to growing your business specifically. Okay, now, whilst we've spoken about all the different kinds of educational resources, all the kinds of formats that you can learn from, educate yourself on, and improve upon, okay, the one thing that we've got to remember here is that we are reading the same content as everybody else. Now, it's up to us to interpret that to what's useful for us, okay? So you can interpret different pieces, you can extract relevant information, okay? But a tailored tutelage program, or, in many varieties of formats that we're going to speak about very shortly, okay, they're very, very specific to us. Now, this is the wonderful thing about tailored tutelage. For example, if you have a mentor, that mentor will know many, many, many things about their industry and what it is that they're teaching you. However, mentally, they will depict and essentially specifically pick up the parts that you need to learn, and they will give it to you in such a way that you learn it best. So a gift or a talent as a coach, as a mentor, as an educator, is to extract the pieces of smaller information from the larger chunk of information. If you imagine this, imagine the larger education being one big block. Okay, now a skilled teacher will hand pick the smaller chunks of education that you need from the larger block, and they will deliver this to you in such a way that it is easily understandable and that is valuable to you. Now, this is the massive benefit of having somebody that can personally teach you, because they will tell you what you need to know and they will make sure that you understand it. Now, this is one of the massive benefits that you would have, okay, versus potentially other types of education, which would be just as valuable in a different way. Okay, now another good way to describe this is, if you imagine you could just look at a book and pick up the 5 key highlights that you need to know, you would do that instantaneously, but you can't. You must read all 300 pages of the book, usually to extrapolate 5 key points, okay? Now, or, hypothetically, it could be 5, could be 10, it could be 15, okay? But for the purposes of the example, that's what we're going to go with. Okay, so the advice will often be larger than simply teaching you items about digital marketing. It can include all elements of business growth pertinent to what's relevant to you. Okay, so, mentors, teachers, guides, okay, really what they do is they teach you the whole picture. Okay, now when we're looking at tailored tutelage, and I say here that the advice will often be larger than simply teaching you items about digital marketing. Okay, this is because when somebody is teaching you one-to-one, or even potentially in a sort of tailored group atmosphere, you're learning things that are relevant to you. Okay, now that isn't always just about the niche. They might say, okay, well, look, we're going to look at paid advertising. We're going to look about how to become a better paid advertiser. But what we're also going to look at is how you can build better rapport with your clients and your contacts so that you can actually enhance your income even more, so that you can enhance the growth of your business even more. Okay, they'll teach you things that don't necessarily fit into the handbook. Okay, they'll teach you things you might not necessarily have thought of before. You'll pick up golden nuggets, light bulb moments, things that you might not have seen before. And this is the wonderful thing about learning from somebody who is more experienced than you are, that all of us have somebody for this in some shape, form, or capacity. Okay, now experts exist in many fields, and a good exercise is to highlight the areas in which you need help the most. Okay, so there are many different experts in many different forms. Specifically in digital marketing, you've got SEO experts, you've got advertising experts, you've got copywriting experts, you've got email marketing experts, you've got campaign development experts, web development experts. There is so many different areas of tutelage and expertise. Now, that was just to name a few. Okay, but what you really need to establish is, well, where do I need help the most? Do I need help to grow my digital marketing business? Because there's somebody for that. Do I need help to become a better advertiser or marketer? There's somebody there to help for that. Do I need to become a better salesperson? There's somebody to help for that. Okay, there are so many different experts in so many different fields, and it's up to you to determine who you need the most and what value you would like to extract from that. Okay, now, most importantly, you are able to ask questions and gain inside tips that may not be available in other materials. Okay, if you need an answer to a specific question and that answer should be tailored to you, you might not find that in a book or a webinar or an essay. Okay, now when you're reading a book, you're reading the pages that have already been written. Okay, that the answer's either in there or it's not. The wonderful thing about the human brain is that it's so intuitive. If you ask somebody something, they can give you an answer. An expert or a guide or a teacher, they can tailor their answer to you specifically to what you need to hear and how you need to hear it. Okay, so you can ask these questions about random things. You can, even if you don't quite know how to ask the question, which is actually quite a common thing, you don't know what terminology you need to use, but you know yourself what it is that you're trying to say. Now, somebody on the other side could piece together what you're trying to say into the question that you meant to ask. Okay, so imagine you were trying to type a question into Google, but you didn't know how to phrase the question. You might not get the answer that you need. The wonderful thing about working with another human is that they can help you figure this out. And they can say, yes, no, I know what you're talking about, even though you didn't specifically know how to say it. Here's the answer you're looking for. Okay, it's a wonderful, wonderful connection. So that now brings us to the end of topic number 3. Okay, now to give you a summary on today's session, beginning with topic number 1, ear to the ground, updates keep you in the loop. And it's very, very important that as a digital agency owner or prospective digital agency owner, that you are in the loop all the time. Okay. Number 2, utilize resources to keep your education sharp. Okay. Make sure that you always know what's going on, that you're always up to date. And finally, your tailored education focuses on more than what is obvious. Okay. Fantastic. Now, it's been a real pleasure, as always, presenting this session to you today. We're going to do the Q&A very, very shortly. Okay, now, as always, a massive, massive thank you for attending today's session. It's been a real pleasure presenting to you. If you would like to talk to a member of our team, you're more than welcome to head over to iob-business.com/talk-to-us and book a call at a time that suits you. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and leave this link up on the screen for you there whilst I go and grab the questions that I have from you for today's session. All right, perfect. So first question that I have today, where should I start with my education as a digital marketer? Okay, now that's an absolutely wonderful question. My answer to you here, find an expert and have a discussion with them. Okay, this will help you establish a productive path to follow when it comes to your education. All right, so if you're looking for something a little bit more tailored and you say, hey, I want to become a digital marketer, okay, or if you're just getting started as a digital marketer and you want to know what direction to take your education in, you can research, you can look at different things that maybe you want to learn, something that you're passionate about, something that you're naturally skilled with. But another great way to do this is just talk to somebody who's been there and done that. They can actually help you form a path and say, hey, I think this is the direction that you should go in for XYZ reasons. A fantastic question. Thank you so much for asking. Next question I have, which areas of education should I focus on? All right, cool. So great question. Hopefully an answer that's sufficient for you. I think that you should aim to focus on your education really where it's relevant to your digital niche and your business ambition. Okay, so let's say that your business ambition is to scale past 6 figures. You should be learning from mentors, experts, resources that have scaled businesses past 6 figures. Okay, if you want to become a better paid advertiser, learn from people who are great at paid advertising. Look at the adverts that are performing extremely well by larger advertising agencies. Okay, who is doing it really, really well, and what do you want to do? Okay, so if you want to build the best websites, if you want to create the best SEO platforms, if you want to develop whatever you want to develop to the greatest it can be, go and look at who is already overachieving, go and look at who is already great and try and learn from what these people are doing. Okay, another fantastic question. Thank you so very much indeed. So I'm just going to go ahead now and check if I have any other questions from you today. Okay, perfect. Looks like that is all the questions that we have from today. So once again, as always, a massive thank you for attending today's session. It's been a real pleasure presenting to you, and I very much look forward to seeing you again on the next iOB Business webinar. Take care and bye for now.